line for Seattle, your boy Andre Reed, and Willie Rofe, amongst Chris Carter and whoever else, who also did not get in. The list that I just mentioned, excluding Chris Carter and Curtis Martin for that fact, Dermonte Dawson, Cortez Kennedy, Willie Rofe is for sure Hall of Famer, and he could be argued in the same breath as Chris Carter, because he is literally maybe one of the first ones to transcend the left tackle position. But let's just pick out Cortez Kennedy, if we can, for 1 second. And we'll get to the Super Bowl, but I just have to get this off my chest. Cortez Kennedy? And you just mentioned Hall of Good. Cortez Kennedy, Hall of Fame?
If you're asking me that, I think that's a joke. I would never have thought that Cortez Kennedy should be up for the Hall of Fame at all. Now, you mentioned some of those other offensive linemen like Willie Rofe, who should be in the Hall of Fame, and he will probably get it eventually, but they don't seem to give offensive linemen the respect that they would, say, a quarterback or somebody who's in a little bit more of a flashy position.
Dude, man, did you find out about Brendan Beal?
I did, and I got to say, his resume is almost as impressive as Chris Carter with his days in the Minnesota Vikings.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Quite the player. I'm surprised he's gone under the radar as long as he has. But why he would transfer from Florida to Minnesota, it's hard to say. I mean, I almost had to do a double take to see if that was correct or not.
And on top of that, it was Tim Brewster who got him here. So as much as I hate Tim Brewster, good riddance, but thank you for bringing Brendan Beal, a transfer kid who was All-American, parade All-American in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania as a high school kid, first-team All-American as a high schooler, Pennsylvania Gatorade Player of the Year at linebacker, goes to Florida, has a decent year or two as a player there, and then decides to transfer out of Florida, has his pick of the litter of where he wants to go, and Tim Brewster convinced him to come to the University of Minnesota. So this is something that, like you said, dude, flew under my radar, all of our radar. Brendan Beal is, talk about a middle linebacker that can solidify your defense. I mean, I don't know if you saw a picture of this kid or not, but he's a big kid, 6'3", 250, and not an ounce of fat on this kid. He's already brainwashed enough into thinking that he's just part of the Gopher family. He was asked by Gopher Hole if he had any plans on going anywhere. He was like, no way, I'm part of this family. I mean, we're looking at a kid who has the potential, a lot of potential, a lot of maybe NFL potential, and he's a Golden Gopher and going to be anchoring down a defense starting next year, and he's looking forward to his first game at the Coliseum in USC. I had to point that out to you. I know you would appreciate that. That's a nice get for the Minnesota Gophers, along with a couple other kids for Jerry Kill. So had to throw that out there. Let's get to the Super Bowl. We got 20 minutes left on the show. Dude, man, your pick. I know you want the Packers to win, but if you think the Packers are going to win, why?
Well, I think number one, the issue with losing a center, and not just a center, but a very, very good center for Pittsburgh is going to be huge. I mean, I'll say this going into the game. This is going to be a tremendous game. It's going to be a great, great game, and it's to me it's as highly of anticipated of a Super Bowl as I can remember. But that being said, it's a tough week to lose your center. Fonte is tremendous, and I just think for some reason, you gotta ride the wave, and this kind of brings me to my second point. It's like the Packers are riding such a wave right now. They are playing and they're doing exactly what they need to do at just the right time. They're going up against a tremendously good football team in Pittsburgh. But they happen to be doing it, just in the nick of time, and I think that's going to play a huge part, in deciding. It's going to be a close game, but it's definitely the Packers covering and the over.
Bob Starr, if Aaron Rodgers has a bad game, is there any possible way they win?
He needs to have a big game for them to win because they don't have the running attack that the Steelers necessarily have. But I also think that, if the Packers defense can cause some turnovers or do something like that, then I think there is some room for him to make some errors. But, you see the way he's been playing lately, and especially in a game where it's being played indoors with the wide receiving core that they have, I think they're going to do pretty well. And their opening drive on offense is going to say a lot because they're so good when they first have the ball at scripting their first 10 to 15 plays, and it usually works out for them. So if the Packers receive the ball first, go down and score, it's gonna set the pace for what could happen the rest of the game. If they get the ball and get stopped, it'll be interesting to see how they come back, because they don't seem to play from behind very often, and if they have to, it'll go to show what Aaron Rodgers is truly made out of, because what Roethlisberger can do from behind, because he seems to pull magic out of a hat every single time he needs to. So it should be pretty interesting.
Dude, how important is it for Aaron Rodgers to get rid of the ball quickly, early, and avoid getting hit early?
Well, I mean, that's going to be key to the highway right there. I mean, he's already kind of suffered through some pretty big hits, some pretty massive hits, and obviously he was out for a couple games this year, and like you guys were saying, I mean, they're a completely different team without Aaron Rodgers there. I mean, it's like night and day. I mean, you can pretty much chalk it up as a loss if they don't have Aaron Rodgers 100%. That being said, you've got to be 100% start to finish. You got to be playing well. You got to be releasing the ball quickly. You got to find your drivers and your Jennings, and driver, by the way, is not 100% either. But you got to really watch out from a quarterback standpoint, because the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is tremendous. I mean, from top to bottom, they've got guys that have been there for years and years, and Troy Polamalu as the defensive player of the year. They're far too good to let a quarterback stand and beat them.
I know you two are on the Packer bandwagon, and dude, I tell you what, it's amazing. It's so canny. It's really ironic. This year's Packers remind me a lot of the 2005 Steelers. They got in as a 6th seed, barely made the playoffs, kind of had the last 2 or 3 games where they had to win. But when they got into the playoffs, they were by far the most feared team. And I said that at the start of the playoffs, that Philadelphia, the last team that they wanted to see was the Packers. They would have much rather faced the Giants or the Buccaneers. So this Packer team reminds me a lot of the Steelers team of 2005. But even with this wave that they are riding, are we discounting the Steelers? Keep in mind, this is the 3rd Super Bowl in 6 years, and can you bet, if this was a bet, and I'm not talking about from your heart, I'm talking about just clear conscious and saying no money involved, just a bet. Can you bet against Ben Roethlisberger, Bob?
No, I mean, that's the thing. Is I think the Packers are going to win. I want them to win, but my confidence level is not like 100%. I think that, like we mentioned before, Roethlisberger finds ways to win the game. I mean, even though they don't have the greatest offensive stars around him, they make plays when they need to, and he's a tough guy to go against in any game.
Dude, man, how huge is it that Pouncey is out? The last time in the Super Bowl that a center was out was when the Raiders lost to the Buccaneers, and if you guys remember, the Raiders center went AWOL, basically, and